Secret of the Shark Pit by Lee Roddy. Chapter 1. Questions from a Stranger. Even after 6 months, Joshua Ladd was so lonely he still hurt inside. The pain of missing his best friend would not go away, no matter what parents and teachers said. That, along with his worsening allergy to the smog, made his life miserable. One late spring afternoon, the normally fast-moving 6th grader shuffled along from school toward his San Fernando Valley home. The smog-shrouded mountains, ringing Los Angeles to the north, rose blue-gray before him, making it hard to breathe. "I'd give anything to see Tank," he told himself fiercely as he took out a shortcut across a vacant lot filled with junk and high-brown weeds. "There's got to be a way. Maybe even a way we could go to school together again." Josh glimpsed his brother and sister through an opening in the high concrete block wall that marked the end of the vacant lot. Tiffany had just stepped off the high school bus as her young brother Nathan walked by on his home from elementary school. Josh could see them laughing and talking. Their happiness made Josh more lonely. Josh and Tank Catlett had been friends since they were babies. Because their parents had been close, the two boys had often been together in the same playpen. From the time they had entered school, Josh and Tank were like brothers. Then Mr. Catlett had promoted as manager of a chain department store and moved to Hawaii, taking Tank and all his family. "It's not fair," Josh told himself with a heavy sigh. He angrily kicked an old soft drink can. It sailed ahead of him and clattered against the pinkish-colored block wall beside the residential street. As Josh neared the sidewalk, a man suddenly stepped out from an opening in the wall. "Hey, kid!" Josh glanced around and slowed. He was big for his 12 years, with broad shoulders from years of swimming. He was not much afraid of anything, especially in broad daylight, with his brother and sister within yelling distance. Still, Josh's parents had taught him to be wary of strangers. He stopped at the edge of the vacant lot, well out of the arm's reach of the stranger. "Yeah?" Josh asked. He automatically brushed wavy brown hair back from his intense blue eyes. The stranger was big, powerfully built man in his late 30s. He wore wraparound sunglasses and a dark three-piece suit. "Kid, I'm looking for somebody," the stranger said, reaching into his breast pocket and producing a photo. Another slid out and fluttered onto the edge of the vacant lot. In his customarily quick fashion, Josh bent to pick up the picture. "It's okay, kid, I'll get it," the stranger exclaimed, reaching down so fast that he knocked Josh slightly off balance. "I've already got it," Josh said, coughing as he stood back up. Even that little bit of sudden activity made his allergy act up, and his chest hurt. Josh glanced at the color photograph. He caught a glimpse of some strange-looking cliffs rising out of a small blue-green bay. Two dome-like rounded objects stood on top of the cliffs, but he could not tell what they were. They vaguely reminded Josh of some unusual rock formations. "Give me that," the man snapped angrily as he snatched the picture away. "I'm sorry, mister. I was just trying to—" "It's okay. Forget it." The man's manner changed, and he managed a half-smile. He slid the color picture into the inside jacket pocket with his right hand. With his left, he shoved the first picture back toward Josh. "You know this man?" he asked. Josh's eyes dipped to the photo. His heart gave a lurch. "Well?" the well-dressed man demanded impatiently. Josh glanced sharply at the man's eyes. The boy could only see his own reflection in the dark wrap-around sunglasses. "Why do you want to know?" he asked evasively. The man's mouth popped open so fast Josh thought he was going to get yelled at. Instead, the man said with controlled quietness, "He's an old army buddy. I've heard he lives around here." Josh's eyes narrowed suspiciously, and he backed up a half step. "Army buddy?" "Yeah, I want to surprise him after all these years. You know him?" The boy's mind raced. He turned to see his brother and sister getting farther and farther away. "Sorry, mister. I've got to catch up with my friends." Josh turned and ran hard down the sidewalk after his siblings. He heard the man swearing behind him. Josh panted up to Tiffany and Nathan just as they waved goodbye to the last of their friends and headed toward their home around the corner at the far end of the block. "Guess what?" Josh asked, sliding between 14-year-old Tiffany and 10-year-old Nathan. Josh's chest burned from inhaling the smog during his run, but he ignored the discomfort and tried not to wheeze. He turned to glance back. The mysterious stranger was gone. "You got kept after school for disobeying the teacher again," Tiffany said with a shrug. She was quite tall and very slender, with short brunette hair. "You're going to get in big trouble someday for that," she warned. "Yeah," Nathan agreed. "Like you're not supposed to cut across that vacant lot. I saw you. You know what Dad would do to you if he knew." Nathan could be very annoying at times, but Josh was too excited to reply just now. "Forget that. The reason I was running—" "It doesn't matter why," Tiffany interrupted. "You're not supposed to exert yourself. You'll end up in the emergency room again." "Never mind that," Josh cried. Nathan was suddenly suspicious. "Just why were you running so hard?" The little brother was the smallest kid in his class. Josh ignored the questions. "Let's cut across these two houses," he said. "What for?" Tiffany demanded, with a big sister's automatic habit of taking command. "Who's after you?" Josh peered back through the afternoon smog. "Not after me, after Dad." "Who's after Dad?" Tiffany asked, turning to look back the way Josh was staring. "And why?" Nathan asked. He shifted his backpack of books on his shoulder and shaded his eyes against the sun. "I don't know," Josh admitted. He steered his reluctant siblings off the sidewalk and between the only two houses that didn't have fences. Quickly, he told them about the stranger. When he finished, Tiffany shook her head. "That doesn't make any sense. Dad never was in the Army." "Exactly," Josh exclaimed as they emerged from between the two houses and crossed the alley. "But he had Dad's picture." Frowning, Nathan pushed the back gate through the high block wall fence into the lad's backyard. "Why would anyone have Dad's picture and lie about it?" he asked. "That's what I'd like to know," Josh replied. "There's something strange going on." Tiffany stopped on the back steps of the lad's used brick ranch-style tacked home. "Oh, Josh, you're always thinking something strange is going on." Before Josh could protest, their mother called from the kitchen. "Children, quiet please. I'm on the phone with Barbara Catlett." "From Hawaii?" Tiffany whooped. "Can I talk to Marcia?" She was Tank's older sister. "And I want to talk to Tank," Josh yelled. The two older lad kids dashed into the house and down the long hallway toward the living room phone. "Children, please," Mrs. Ladd called from the kitchen. Tiffany beat Josh to the phone. She snatched it up from the small table by their father's big chair and cried excitedly, "Mrs. Catlett? Is Marcia home?" Josh watched Tiffany's face sink as she reluctantly handed the phone to him. "Marcia isn't around, and Mom's got to get an address from Mrs. Catlett. So they say you and Tank can talk a moment." Josh grabbed the phone and almost yelled into it. "Tank?" "Josh, hi!" The familiar voice came across the wire. Tank was a slow-talking, deliberate person whose total contrast to Josh made them unlikely friends. As Tiffany headed for the kitchen, Josh slid into the big chair and eased his feet onto the footrest. It automatically popped out as he leaned back. "Tank, you sound as though you were right down the street." "Well," Tank replied, dragging out the word, and then adding with his usual maddening slowness, "Hawaii's only about 2,500 miles by air, you know." Maddening, slow or not, it was a voice that Josh greatly missed. I sure wish you were back here, Tank. It's so lonesome," Tank said sadly. "It's worse here." "But your parents told my folks that you're making lots of new friends in Honolulu." "They are, but I'm not. I'm the only Haole in my whole class." "Haole? What's that?" "Hawaiian word. It used to mean stranger, but now people here use it to mean a white person." "I remember my folks talking about what did they call it? Oh, the rainbow of colors of people living in Hawaii. White, brown, black, yellow, and red-skinned," Tank interrupted. "For the first time in my life, I know what it's like to be a minority." Tank's slow voice sounded miserable as he continued, "Most of the kids here are real nice, so it's not really my skin that's the problem. It's just that they've known each other for years, but I'm the new kid and the only one whose skin is really different. Josh, I'd give anything if you could be here with me." Josh could only say softly, "Me too, Tank." His friend changed the subject. "How's your allergy?" "Gets worse and worse every summer, but I'll survive, I hope. I wish we could move back to the beach like when we were kids. No smog there. You could move to Hawaii and breathe this air." "Don't I wish." "Hey," Tank's tone brightened. "Guess what?" "What?" Tank lowered his voice. "If you can come here, I've got a secret place to explore. Even the Kamainas don't know about it." "The what?" "The Kamainas, or natives," Tank replied. Josh's spirits lifted. "What's so secret about it?" Tank whispered, "Can't tell you on the phone." When the boys had lived next door to each other, their favorite pastime was exploring. Nothing really dangerous had ever happened, but they'd had a lot of fun pretending. "Why not?" Josh asked, automatically whispering back. "Because it could be dangerous." "Then write me a letter." "Can't do that either." "Boy, if you could get over here on summer vacation," Mrs. Ladd broke in from the kitchen phone. "I'm back. Tank, please put your mother on the line, and you boys say goodbye." Josh reluctantly obeyed. He was frustrated and excited. His mind raced. What kind of secret could Tank have? Josh leaned back hard into his father's favorite chair. "There's got to be a way to visit Tank," he exclaimed out loud. He heard his father's key in the front door lock. Josh jumped up just as his father entered from the hallway, carrying his briefcase. John Ladd was a nice-looking, 6-foot-tall man with dark, wavy hair. He was a high school history teacher. Tank Catlet's father had once laughingly described John Ladd and his son Josh as being like two warm bottles of soda water that somebody shook up real hard and then yanked off the caps, only these two never run out of the spizzy. "Hey, Dad, guess what?" Josh said excitedly. "Mrs. Catlet's on the phone, and you know what else? On the way home from school today, the Catlets are on the phone. I was going to call Sam tonight." Mr. Ladd handed his scarred brown leather briefcase to Josh. "Here, please put this in my study while I grab the phone." "Okay, but Dad, about this guy—" "In a minute, son." Mr. Ladd dropped into the big upholstered chair. He scooped up the phone. "Barbara, it's John. How's Sam?" "Great. Is he home?" "Well, when he comes in, please let him know please tell him he doesn't know how fortunate all of you are to be out there. Every year it gets worse." Josh started back down the hallway. He met his sister coming from the kitchen. Josh muttered, "Why do the grown-ups always get to talk and we don't?" "Because," Tiffany said with an older sister's slightly superior air as she opened her bedroom door, "they pay the phone bills." Just don't... Josh didn't feel like answering. He could hear his father's voice down the hallway. "I had to drive to downtown Los Angeles today. It was terrible. Smog, heat, and bumper-to-bumper freeway traffic. Both ways. But I've got news that I haven't had time to tell my wife yet." Josh turned out his father's voice as his mind jumped back to Tank. "It's not fair. We're both lonely." He opened the hall door to the combination den and study. "I wonder if Tank's right. Maybe I could breathe better in Hawaii." As Josh set the briefcase on the tidy desk, he heard Nathan shriek. Josh turned and raced into the hallway, almost colliding with Tiffany, rushing from her room. Nathan bolted from the kitchen door toward them, wildly waving a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. His eyes were wide as he was making sputtering noises. "What's the matter?" Tiffany demanded, taking charge as usual. "Are you choking?" Nathan shook his head violently, swallowed hard, and yelled, "We're going to Hawaii!"